We're poisoning the land, we're poisoning animals, and I truly believe we're poisoning ourselves. To reconnect with nature is key if we want to save the planet. Those are the words of Jane Goodall. Why should humans live in a connected way with the land they inhabit? You're listening to Finding Harmony with Nature to Save the Planet. I'm Lauren Kurdyak, and today we will conduct an investigation into the interdependence of humans and nature for well-being. Climate change is one of the most serious threats facing humanity in the 21st century. Currently, more than 1 million species are at risk of extinction, and the vast majority of this extinction is caused by human, or what scientists call, anthropogenic change. Biologists predict that humans are about to cause the 6th mass extinction on Earth. Human activity has damaged the Earth in many ways. We cause deforestation, desertification of lands and oceans, pollution, increasing landfills, water scarcity, and the detrimental impact of increased greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, such as the depletion of the ozone layer, to occur unchecked. Let me paint a picture for you. The cosmos is approximately 15 billion years old. The Earth is around 4.6 billion years old. Humans have only existed for 100,000 of these years, and civilizations have only existed for a minuscule term of only 10,000 years. Given the exceptionally short period of geological time that humans have lived on Earth, it is remarkable how quickly we become a threat to the livelihood of the planet and the species we share it with. Humans have evolved to be gravely competent at transforming the whole biosphere more severely and efficiently than the preceding billion years before our arrival. Why is this happening? In the Western world, humans see themselves as a separate entity from the rest of nature, and what we see is that the master narrative of contemporary society, specifically Western capitalist societies, drives humanity to perceive its role in the natural world as the top of the resource chain. So in terms of natural resources, humans' needs always come first. And in this sense, the value of all non-human nature depends on the utility it may provide to humans. Scholars have determined that the survival of life on Earth is in jeopardy because of humans' disconnection to nature and the harm that we cause the planet. Why is this important? The resilience of the Earth systems are necessary for the survival of all life on Earth, including ours. However, we remain on a path of exploitation and destruction of the planet's resources. To begin to circumvent this crisis, it is critical to address the root of humans' disconnection to nature. Revolutionary actions must be taken on a societal and individual level to counteract the severe impact we've had on this Earth. Today, on Finding Harmony with Nature to Save the Planet, we will work to recognize the interconnectivity of humans' deep roots in the planet's history and the severity of the impact we've had on the planet to support the implementation of a new moral structure grounded in holistic guardianship and stewardship of nature. Why are we destroying the planet despite our reliance on it? Well, we've already begun to answer this: humans' disconnection to nature. But let's be more specific. What are the causal and foundational drivers for our disconnection to nature? In the Western world, humans see themselves as a separate entity from the rest of nature, and scholars refer to this as the Cartesian ontology, which depicts the Western human nature dualism. This may be a causal factor for our lack of motivation to address this crisis, but it also helps to explain why we view humankind as more important than non-human nature. In today's society, we struggle with relentless exploitation of natural resources, consumeristic behaviors, and the ever-expansion of economic growth. Overpopulation, the rise of technology and industrialization, urbanization, and globalization are human-induced drivers of drastic societal change that have the twofold effect of negatively impacting the environment and of increasing the disconnect between humans and nature. Only after we recognize the foundational structures of Western capitalist societies that are responsible for distancing humans from nature, then can we begin to reconstitute and actualize a new foundational structure of Western society that values human-nature relationships. You may be thinking, sure, we're disconnected from nature compared to our evolutionary past, but why do we need nature? Does nature actually have intrinsic value for humans? To provide you with an interdisciplinary lens to address this problem, let's turn our attention to both biological theories and philosophy to help guide us. Let's first look to two major theories, the Gaia and the biophilia hypotheses. The Gaia theory. In the history of humanity, prior to the influence of Judeo-Christian religious beliefs, humans believed in a pagan force that permeated and unified all of nature, animism. The non-dualistic force of animism described how all materials of the universe, including humans, are one with the earth. But this compassion for nature perished with the birth of Western Judeo-Christianity, science, and technology. In 1968, James E. Lovelock's animistic Gaia hypothesis sought to restore a long-forgotten human-nature solidarity. Lovelock's Gaia theory describes the world as a single, tightly coupled, and alive system that functions through the co-evolution of biotic components and their environment's non-living chemical and physical reactions to create and sustain a self-balancing biosphere within the boundaries that are supportive of life. Put more simply, we are a part in the whole co-evolving system that is the Earth, so the survival of both the Earth and humanity relies on the resilience of the planet's dynamic natural equilibrium abilities. And just a few years later, Edward O. Wilson developed his theory of biophilia to explain how through gene-culture coevolution, humans' intimate relationship with nature over the past millions of years led to the evolution of a biologically based need to be a part of and feel connected to the natural world within our genes. He uses biophobias to further reveal our strong inherent affiliations to the natural world in the past. With minimal education or pre-exposure, humans are still prone to have animosity towards specific aspects of nature, such as snakes, or certain environments like cliffs that pose a potential threat to our survival. And today, there is a multitude of scientific research on the psychological, physical, and cognitive benefits of increased time spent in the natural world, which is consistent with the biophilia hypothesis that human well-being is positively correlated to increased contact with nature. And part of reconnecting with nature is to become more aware of the psychological and cognitive benefits it provides. Recent research has found that exposure to nature heightened connectedness to it through the development of positive emotions towards the natural environment and increased well-being. Even in urban environments, minimal exposure to nature has beneficial effects improving humans' directed attention abilities, memory, and relieving cognitive fatigue. Time spent in nature has been shown to strengthen the right hemisphere of the brain and revitalize the functions of the brain, a process commonly known as clearing one's head. The positive emotions that are evoked from spending time in nature are also connected to more community-oriented, pro-social, and sustainable behavior, which allows for creative solutions for environmental protection. A greater connection with nature through a better understanding of the psychological and cognitive benefits correlates to positive environmental behaviors, as it allows individuals to recognize the significance of nature's cultural services as more important than its economic value. Both of these theories challenge the belief that humans are the most important entity in the universe. This is referred to as the anthropocentric human-nature duality. By revealing how truly dependent we are on nature for well-being, both of these theories challenge this persuasive perception of the duality between humans and nature. So they serve as a potential force to introduce a new mentality that is grounded in an understanding of how tightly interconnected human welfare is to the environment. How can we change our understanding of human-nature relationships? Where can we look to for values that are grounded in relationship with nature? In the context of the ecological crisis we are facing, humans must engage with questions about our understanding of reality. So let's look to the work of one of the most important sociologists and psychoanalyst philosophers of the 20th century, Erich Fromm, to better understand the cultural role of the individual in actualizing meaningful progress. Rooted in profound considerations of how socioeconomic systems and Western Judeo-Christianity negotiate and alter Western society's relations to the natural world, Frommian social thought provides another theoretical framework to help realize our role in harmony with the whole biosphere. Although Western capitalist societies have a fondness for nature, narcissism and intense individualization creates barriers that inhibit the individual from acting for the greater good of nature as a whole. Fromm argued that environmental degradation was caused by humans' failure to cultivate a non-hostile alliance with the natural world, where Western societies are dominated by individuals who believe they are more the more they have. His vision to reform humanity's relationship to nature dictates that we must foster a new mentality and ethical system of unity and cooperation with nature, instead of one centered around Judeo-Christianity's belief of human divinity over all other life forms. Fromm explains how there are two contrasting modes of an individual, having and being. The having mode is embodied in individuals who assess their self-worth by the amount they have, whereas the being mode values the individual striving to be much, not have much. As a solution, Fromm's being mode provides an alternative governance narrative for how we can reconceptualize our relationship to nature, to address our disconnection to nature, and combat Western capitalist narcissistic culture and the anthropocentric exploitative ideals of Judeo-Christianity. Here's a simple example. You're on a walk and you see a beautiful wildflower, so you kneel down to get a better look at it. Do you tear the flower from its root and take it with you? Or do you take a moment to appreciate its beauty and then continue on your way? Is nature's purpose as a consumable for human benefit? In the being mode, you would let the flower be. So consequently, Brahm's to be personality type is more likely to make the choices that are needed for social reform. This awareness of self in relation to the natural world that is explored in the being mode allows an individual to become disentangled from the confinements of the current having values of capitalist societies. Living in the being mode allows the individual to more deeply experience their interdependence with nature and starts to free them from the superimposed mass capitalist ethics of the having mode. This deepened connection to nature is the first step in starting to address our current exploitation and poor stewardship of the earth, and critical for addressing the current ecological crisis we find ourselves in. Our survival depends on it. I advocate that we must recognize our interdependence with nature and consider new value narratives that are grounded in caring and responsibility instead of narcissism and consumption. H.G. Wells, a revolutionary utopian thinker, tells us that it is only through collective action and organization of will and energy that we will be able to combat the straining and directive forces that are obstacles for progress. A shift in collective values is vital in transitioning to a social order with a common vision of well-being for all on Earth. I want to end by sharing the hope that through cooperative devotion, we can work collectively to create a world of harmony. A new way of thinking, a new way of life, a type of being, is critical to the survival of human existence on the planet. By recognizing the interconnectivity of humans' deep roots in the planet's history, and the severity of the impact we've had on the planet, we must enact the implementation of a new moral structure grounded in holistic guardianship and stewardship of nature.